each other. But all right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to do the intro once more. This is the Arabic localization subgroup meeting for Kate SIG docs localization. And we've got a couple people here, and I believe Abigail's signed in with the SIG docs account just for today. But again, this is we're here in an official CNCF meeting, so we're abiding by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which can be summarized in be nice and respectful to each other. So without further ado, I'm just going to pull up the meeting minutes, and we already all up the meeting minutes, and forgive me, folks. Looks like I got kicked out. Is everyone still there?
Yes, I'm still here, man.
Okay, great, great. Um, all right, up the meeting minutes. So there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about today, but Abby, safe. Do you have any sort of pressing things? I know it's 9:20. We're officially 20 minutes into the meeting, and I didn't want to. I don't want to keep anyone, because it's a small group. I don't think we'll need the whole time. So anything pressing that we want to talk about before the bulk of the work?
Nothing from my website for the moment, Ali.
Okay. All
I would
right.
just like to put out a blanket reminder that we are working on testing out some translation management tooling. So if
Mhm.
there's anyone here who's interested in that, I can link some of the issues. It's not really necessarily something for a discussion unless you wanted to talk about it more on this meeting. We will be talking about it in the next localization meeting that's upcoming on the next Monday, the March 4th. So yeah, so we're just looking for people who will be interested in helping test out things or give their opinions on certain tooling. So I'll link the issues too, so we can add them into the agenda.
Yeah, I did see the thread. I think was it the Ukrainian team that started this? Uh, yeah, I'd love to help. So Abby, if you've got the links handy, I can put them in the minutes as we're talking. All right. The other things I wanted to talk about is just to review the PRs that we have open, what's been reviewed and what's nominally ready to merge. In an effort to sort of prepare let's say, a dossier of, hey, here's the work that we've done so far. We'd like to keep going forward and see if we can petition to get some more folks to become Kubernetes org members, or just even to get this work merged would be a win. So I wanted to go over those and just have a list. It's easy to present. And then other than that, Safe and I have been reviewing one another's code reviews. So Safe, I do appreciate it. There's a couple of, I guess there's some translations that we can discuss today if you'd
Yes,
like.
yes, I
Yeah.
will let you finish, then we can discuss that.
Yes. Sounds good. All right. And I think that's all I want to talk about today. So, oh, I see it in the chat now. Ah, sweet. Okay. So I'm going to copy these links over. And I'm going to just drop these in here just so that we have them. So Abby, so I know that there's a Slack thread as well. Would you recommend going to read that, or let's say, do you think that that's necessary as well?
If you want to dive in for just context of what's happening, I think most of this has been translated also in the issues
Okay.
and the discussion. Particularly, there's some technical issues with the CLA, so that's what a lot of the threads are
Mm,
about. So if you're really interested about that, they're also linked in to the discussion and the issues there. You can find links to
mhm,
the Slack threads. But the real thing that we're trying to get at is that there is an interest to integrate translation management tools like Crowded or Transifex that should help teams do translation work faster.
mhm.
There are the technical issues of figuring out whether or not the Linux Foundation or the CNCF will permit bots to sign the CLA or some variation of that issue. Because currently, the way that we got to get the legal involved, and there's a lot of other issues that we as SIG docs can't exactly fix by ourselves. We
Mhm.
definitely support integration of these tools, and we want to make sure we get a lot of varied topic or opinions from different groups on how we can best implement it and how it could make your translation work easier, better, more sustainable in the long term. But so there's the separate two things of finding the right tool and building out the use cases that we have the tool that would fix it, and then also making sure that it's supported in terms of the legal requirements for the CLA and whatever we need to actually get this work merged in accordance with the Linux Foundation and
Mhm.
CNCF guidelines. So
Gotcha. And as I understand it, there's a because that's a different governing body. There is an issue open with the Linux Foundation folks to
correct,
figure out
correct,
specifically on this question of signing CLAs by bots, right?
correct, correct. There's an issue open in their ticketing system, so we can't actually view the specifics of that because it's sort of
Mhm.
correctly put into their systems. But it is on their radar, and we have people looking at it. It just will take time because there's lots of different people who need to get involved to answer these questions.
Mhm.
And we're coming up on KubeCon, so there's lots of split focused things. The next KubeCon is happening in March 19th. It starts, so
Mhm.
everyone's
Mhm.
kind of in
That's right.
crunch time with that.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Um, okay, cool. Well, thanks for the links and the summary of that. The it's hard for me to gauge whether so testers are needed. Is this something that you're looking to build a team around, or just feedback and opinions? Is there
User
a, let's
experience,
say, a
maybe.
minimum commitment here? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the initial request from other teams would be to organize your thoughts on the use cases on how you are doing your translation work and how like where the pain points are and what type of tooling you could imagine would fix this. Um, the Ukrainian team has identified Transifex as something that would help their workflow. So really just making sure that we're considering the use cases of how each team is doing their translation work and where their pain points are, so that when we go to implement any tooling, we can then, you know, be solving people's issues in that sense. And then, the next step is also actually doing like a POC of how these, like a real world example, so we can see how the flows would work, uh, that type of thing. So we're kind of transitioning into more of that stage um, to actually be doing experiments with actual tools.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
there isn't anything concrete right now, but if you read through the issues, it's definitely been brought up to kind of do an experiment, set up like into a separate issue, set up a kind of a guardrails for an experiment to put together like a proof of concept for using these tools. It's
Hmm. Hmm.
we could do a lot of this investigation work um, uh, right now. It's still going to come down
Hmm.
to the what information we get back from the CLAs
Hmm.
signing on how we can actually get it to be implemented and integrated into people's work, but we could still do some work now. So I guess the ask is really to just sort of, if you're interested in this topic, please reach out, look at the discussion and the issues. Um, and provide your feedback there. And then a future step, which will hopefully be coming in the next week, will be also next few weeks, is to get people actually testing these tools out in some way and getting the feedback on them in there. So again, if you're
Gotcha.
interested, please raise your hand and say you'd be willing to help. That's sort of the first step, so that we can kind of gather who from the community will be able to help.
Gotcha. That sounds great to me. Safe, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think it would be very nice experience from us since we are the uh, like the rare language like that from right to left. So we need to see how it will react upon that the tool.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. RTL support is when it's one of those things when it's not there, it really grinds your gears. So yeah, it's a good point to make sure that that exists. Are there any other RTL teams out there right now?
I believe you all are the first for us, at least the first that will have gotten this far in the process. I don't think we don't
Mhm.
have any other at the moment. So exactly, it will be a really great perspective. The
Yes.
tools, I think folks are looking into are pretty widely used, but that doesn't necessarily
Mhm.
mean that they have a good experience for all languages. I personally
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with them. I haven't had an opportunity to really dig in with them very much. So it'd be really great to get your all's feedback on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Alrighty. So I think we've talked about this topic here. The next thing that I wanted to go through over is just a contribution summary so far. So there's been a bunch of pull requests that are open. And I was thinking to myself, Abby, you posted in our channel that that we're sort of now able to open up issues and PRs to um, request joining the Kubernetes organization. And I realized that I don't have a good handle on what's been done so far. So I wanted to use this time to just summarize it, to present it. So to summarize it on behalf of everyone. Um so I suppose what we could do is we can start off with just a list of PRs that we've authored. Safe, do you have all of yours handy? And I think I know what the
No,
ones
but
are.
I can just from the website, I just can select my name
Hmm.
from the author of the PRs and then just be easy. There is Saif,
Gotcha. Okay.
Hadi, Muhammad, and also there is Isam.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
So okay, so that sounds great. I suppose we can fill out
Yes,
this
we
list
can finish. It's not
asynchronously, right?
it's not.
Uh,
But anyway, we have a bunch of them open in kind of way. They are waiting for merge to our branch.
yeah, that's a good point. Either way, so I do think this about PRs that have been reviewed, that are to be in. What is the right way for the right people to take a look at this, if it even is the right time? We've merged a couple PRs so far, really early on, and there's a new batch ready.
That was to me. That was a question to me. You kind of cut out
Yes.
a little bit, so I just want to make sure. Okay. Yeah. So great question. So yes, I think that if there is work that you feel like is able to be reviewed and merged, we can reach out to some of the SIG docs folks who can kind of help get them approved to merge them in right now, because you don't have any people listed as reviewers that can merge in that content.
Hmm.
This is also a
Hmm.
situation that Soko has identified, like we as localization team leads don't actually have authority necessarily to approve localization PRs in
Huh.
these scenarios.
Hmm.
But we can communicate this to the SIGDocs team. So maybe if you could put a post into SIGDocs the SIG Docs channel, or even in the SIG Docs localization channel, and we can tag the chairs there, and they can kind of look at and approve, help with the approving and merging there. But yes, the other pieces that folks have been making the contributions and they feel like they're ready to get org membership, they can go through a process there to apply. And then once they are through the process of and have org membership, then they can put a PR, submit a PR to add themselves as reviewers for the language. And then they can go then and be the reviewers and approvers for the content. As you know, I know you have a built up backlog, so in the short term we can try to get those approved using the people, the website approver. I think it's a website approver could probably come in and merge that PR while you are also simultaneously going through the org membership process and applying for that.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I have a question about the issue template for organization membership. I noticed that in order to create that issue, I have to have 2 sponsors already.
Yeah.
Is
so
that
the first thing you could do,
okay.
yes, to put a post into the SIG Docs channel and just sort of, say who you are and list your contributions so far. And then, ask for sponsors. I can help you with that. Be a sponsor. I'm sure there are other people within the community, the other chairs, or Sioko when he's back, will also help be a sponsor. There was just somebody from the Bengali localization who we helped get, who just applied as well. So if you, I know I had posted some examples. Yeah, it's just posting your who you are and information about your contributions to get sponsors in the SIG Docs channel, and then from there you can take that into a GitHub issue, just for not cleanliness purposes, because that's not the right word, but just for process purposes, to just not create an influx of huge issues. We ask that you get sponsors to verbally say yes in Slack, so that when you create the GitHub issues, it's not just a big pile up of waiting for sponsors or languishing issues there for sponsorship. So it should be get the sponsors in the Slack channel, and then you can move that into the GitHub issue, and then verify everything there. I'm not exactly sure who the team is that owns doing the membership, but people who say they can be your sponsors in Slack, they can comment again on the issue, and then the process from there should be pretty quick. But
yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna go grab a link to your message in our channel with the details for that, or with all of that spelled out as well. So let me do that right now. Is there given that this is a new team and that the first approvers are any reviewers and approvers are going to be the first ever approvers and reviewers, do you recommend any process on how to select, if at all, right? Is it a question of, hey, I want to do this, or does that question make sense? Because none of us are other.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, because it's, you're setting up your own team, so you would like it to be people who are, going to follow through on the commitments, because there is the different levels of being a contributor. It's just coming in and helping occasionally, and then there's applying for org membership to say you're committed to the community a little bit, and then there's another step further to say I want to be a reviewer and I commit to being around at a regularly available rate to actually do the reviewing and approving. So it's sort of just, I guess, communicating that it is just another layer of being committed to the project for an extended period of time. And obviously things come up in people's lives that they need to take a step back or take a break or whatever. And that is totally fine. It's just, understanding the folks on your team and at what rate they are willing to contribute to the project. And then, once they get onto the list of reviewers, setting the expectation that they will be doing the reviewing, and then communicating their availability if they're not available for a specific amount of time, and then they're going to come back, and it's whatever works best for you and your team. But I do think it's a valid question. It doesn't have to be everybody in the community is also listed as a reviewer. Probably shouldn't be. It should be people who are willing to take on that responsibility of saying, I will review the PRs, instead of just maybe submitting them and whatever. Yeah, and I would just in general for teams for sustainability reasons, we'd like folks to have at least two people listed as reviewers and approvers, so that functionally you can't review and approve your own PR, so you need to have someone else do that for you. And then just for sustainability reasons, having one person say they'll review all of the PRs coming in for a language is not sustainable. So having at least two people is a requirement. So it should be two people who are willing to take that on. It can be more, but we need to have at least two for sustainability reasons.
And just to be sure, are these roles mutually exclusive? So are we talking about minimum 4 people?
I don't think so. I think you could be a reviewer and an approver. I'm not sure if they're exactly, the owner's files are a little bit confusing to me. So I think it's technically separate lists, but it should be 2 people, but they could be the same person. So it could be just 2 people.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, so at least 2 people at least 2 owners, let's call it this way. So the owners, reviewers, and approvers. Okay, that sounds good. I think what Saif and I can do asynchronously then is just build up this list of stuff, and we can put it in our channel. And then once we have everything down, I can cart it over to the broader channel and blow some horns, raise some flags. Any more thoughts about this topic here? Okay,
Regarding
everyone's satisfied.
just one
Go
second,
ahead.
Ali. Regarding the things need to be merged, I think we should not be blocked for minor words that needs to be discussed. I think we can move on with merging them. Then if we find a better alternative, which we might find if we wait for Ahmed and Tariq. But I think some of them are like acceptable and really good. So I think we can move forward with them until if we get the better options. Like for example, last time load balancer, which took like a whole week discussion. Just that's an example, but not the full list. Last time I just stopped from translating because I was saying, okay, should I do it? Should I not? I don't. Half of the word are still like did not like settle down for like final decision. I would say that.
I see. Yeah. No, that's a good point. I agree completely. And a good reminder too, because we all sort of get stuck in that hole of like, no, to make it perfect.
On that topic, I put
ahead.
In the chat a link to the glossary, so that might be an area that you can help kind of resolve some of these issues by translating those words. Go through the decisions for some of those words, like by just doing the glossary and saying these are our decisions. And then also in the case of if you are thinking of just merging things and having continuing the discussion outside of the PR, I would definitely recommend making use of issues. You can create an issue to discuss this topic in depth, in more detail, or one issue that says like figuring out words, and then that can be the place we have these conversations just for a tracking perspective. Because sometimes if you merge things and say, oh, we'll talk about this later, it might get a little lost. So feel free to use issues and then apply your language label to the issue, and then you'll be able to just keep track of your own issues and
Mhm.
continue to have those conversations.
Yeah, last
Yeah.
time we have like kind of decide if we go through the GitHub discussions also maybe that's also another option that we have discussed.
Abby, is there a preference for issues over discussions? What's the norm in the GitHub website
We
repo?
Yeah, so good question. We have tended to, in the past year or so, use discussions
Mhm.
to talk about something that we still haven't decided on. And then once there is a set action or something that we've sort of decided on to do, then we move it into an issue to do work on. So it could be that you better place to do it as a GitHub discussion, and then you can kind of have a rolling discussion about the different words that you want. And then when you have this decided on that, you can take it into an issue to say you need to review the docs that have already been whatever, and make sure that the word choice is what you have decided in the discussion. So that could be the workflow that works best for your team. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so it's usually it's hit or miss. Some people still put things into issues, but we've been trending towards trying to move people to have actual discussions within a discussion, and then once there is
Mhm.
actionable work to do, move it into an issue that can be assigned to someone, and then they can make progress.
Okay, so that leads to another question, Abby. Should we do it on Kubernetes GitHub or Glossary GitHub? CNCF.
The CNCF GitHub. So I guess that would depend on, I guess, your scope of your team. It depends on if you're working through the definition in the glossary for the CNCF glossary that you're going to do work there. That I think that that's a fine place to do it, since it seems like your team has a lot of overlap. But if there's work, I specifically to update the localization within the Kubernetes docs, I would say make sure that there's an issue there too, so that the work will somehow be discovered and hopefully worked on. But yeah, it depends on who are the folks having the conversation and where that glossary comes from. I know I'm not very familiar with the CNCF glossary. I know that they have one. I'm not sure about
Mhm.
how much the overlap there is with the Kubernetes glossary that I also linked. But yeah, wherever you feel most comfortable having those conversations, I would just say also make sure it is somehow communicated within the Kubernetes community that there is work to be done to make the words the same within the Kubernetes docs.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes, better, more within reason. More documentation is better than less when these around
Mm-hmm.
these discussions.
So yeah, so we can move our Excel sheet to the discussion, maybe to open discussion, maybe for every words that are blocking us for the moment, and we can move on with them with like how to say temporary solution, a temporary compromise until we find like the final
Mhm.
take final decision for each one before merging to main. That would be honestly
Yeah,
a very nice way to do it right now.
yeah. I think that's a great idea. Safe. Do you wanna do that, or would you
Yes,
like me to do
I
it?
can do that. I can once we have the discussion. Can we Abi, create a discussion, or it should be um, some member or one can start a discussion?
You might have to be a GitHub org member to start a discussion. I am
Mm.
not sure of. Let me see what the permissions say, if there's any way I can see on the website.
Yeah, because the Korean team used that discussion, and I found really nice. And there is the
Mm.
full history of each word, so it's
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
cool to find each. If we can have one like
You
that.
might you might have to just be an org member, but if that's a blocker for you, I can create the discussions to give you a
Yes,
place to do it
just create it and we
until
can work on it.
okay.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, fantastic. Were there any other to-dos here? Um, so yes, there's a to-do here to just to wrangle up the uh, wrangle. Is that the right one? Gather all contributions, sync docs to approve. Cool. Alrighty. Any more thoughts about this topic? And we got about 10 minutes on the clock. So I think we can just go ahead and crack open those PRs and talk about term translations. Safe.
Yes,
Still want to do that? Yes, great.
of course.
So we're gonna. So I can try my best to speak in English uh, to make the conversation relatable to Abby.
Yes. Yeah, we
I
can try
Don't.
to do it as much English as possible.
Yeah, please feel free if you need to speak in not English, that is fine. I know I'm jumping in on your meeting and it's just to help with the recording for today. So please don't let me be a blocker if there's things you want to chat about.
Yeah, it's all good. We're glad you're here, Abby. Uh, okay, cool. Let me just uh, grab some pull requests. So there's one safe that I reviewed just most recently. Do
Mine
you want to
or
start with
yours?
that one? Yours. And you also reviewed my last one, right?
Yes. And for your reviews, I would brief. Okay, you can do it, but I'm still for the last remark, and then I will push the changes. And I think I fixed all your concerns. I addressed them at least. I'm pretty sure.
Great, great.
And they
I
look
appreciate that.
honestly, they look fair enough. They look legit, and they make sense. Uh, Sometimes when you read it, you'll
Hmm.
understand it, but then if you put it in the context of Kubernetes and IT, they look complicated to understand. So it needs someone to be like when someone reads it from the first time, he needs to understand it. So Arabic language should be easy to give the space for someone to understand the technical more than understanding Arabic
Hmm.
words. So we don't want to add complexity of the IT to language.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, right?
I try
This is
to
the
find
meta
the
discussion,
easiest
right?
word.
Right, right. The it, I mean, that's a very good point. Is like who's the audience and what knowledge do they have, right? The only pretext I'll add is that because these terms are, I mean, the best way to describe it is like you're inventing computer science, right, for the very
Yes,
first time, and these
yes,
terms are new for everyone because they just don't exist
yes,
in Arabic. Uh,
yes.
I I don't know. I don't know if there's a theoretical like
I would say
right answer,
you know
No.
we have that something that is called it's like we have like in our technical docs or any docs that we have in Arabic, we have the core
Hmm.
version and we have that simplified version. So I'll try to go like the simplified one rather than going through the complicated one, which means try to find uh, uh, the best word for the translation to Arabic.
Hmm.
So might
Hmm.
take us to a word that was not used since like 400 years. And by choosing that word because it's the most suitable in our context, you will need
Right.
someone to open an Arab dictionary to understand that word rather
Hmm.
than
Hmm. Hmm.
focusing on understanding the IT, the container aspect of the
Oh,
docs.
I see. Yeah, I see
Because
what you're
some words
saying.
I sometimes don't understand.
Right.
I speak Arabic, and you know that Arab we have for one word we have like hundreds of synonym. So if you
Yes.
take word
Yeah.
that you can't understand and you put it in documentation, it will
Hmm.
be repulsive for someone who read it. So that's why I
Yeah,
said your
that's it.
comments make
Yeah.
sense, really make sense. So if I read it from a second perspective, it looks like the docs become kind of overwhelming. I don't
I
know what
take
is
your
your
point.
point of view.
Mhm. No, I take your point. And I think this is something that we ought to discuss with the broader team and even the CNCF folks too, right? They have more experience with this than we do. Is that we're writing in modern standard Arabic, which is not a spoken language, right? I speak Egyptian Arabic, right, which is
Yes,
different, and you, right? It's so we do have to make this, and we do have to make decisions about that, right? What are the which are we going to write proper MSA, which wouldn't read or write ever in their lives, right? Unless it's in scripture, uh, or do we write sort of, you know, hip Arabic, which may not be grammatically entirely correct or the most eloquent, but at least it's
exactly.
salient. Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. That's my concern because sometimes I read the docs and I
mhm.
say, I this word I used twice in my life.
Right,
And basically, I
right,
didn't speak it. I just read it when I say it. I used.
right,
I read it somewhere in some old literature book.
right.
So sometimes I see the docs, the comments from Tarek and Ahmed, and I say, okay, they make sense, but do
Hmm.
we need to be them as much as correct in Arabic or as much as
Hmm.
understandable and someone who wants to read the docs can understand the words. So we need to use the words that are most used in like I don't know in the media, in the social media,
Hmm. Hmm.
in
Hmm.
the journal, in the newspapers, and things that any one are exposed to on a daily basis, at least not a daily, but
Right,
regularly.
right. I think we got to take this to the bigger group, but I take your
Yes,
point. It is important. There's
yes,
got to be
because I
someone
it's
outside. Go
yes.
ahead. I was going to say there's got to be someone outside of the Kubernetes community who's already thought of this. And مجمع اللغة العربية, they've like they must have made some deliberation about this problem is how to take Arabic online. Uh,
Yesterday I spent some time reading AWS docs in Arabic, and honestly, they are
okay.
straightforward. I mean,
Uh-huh.
you can understand. You don't need to understand Arabic. I mean, you don't need to be expert in Arabic language to understand the docs. It's using the
Hmm.
words that you used on a always. Very simple expressions, not complicated, and yeah. And some docs on the same for the same subject, you find
Hmm.
it's uh, grammatically and whatever you want to say perfect. However, it's kind of
Hmm.
complicated to understand.
Right,
So yesterday I
right.
was in between. Should I use this elegant and grammatically and I don't know the word correctly, the most correctly
Hmm.
in term of إنشاء وعروض in Arabic,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
النحو والصرف, or
Hmm.
should I use this word, this expression, which is more under more more easier to understand, and it expresses, I mean, it defines the same exact thing. So we are not defining two different
Yeah,
things. So if we change
yeah.
it, we will keep explaining the same stuff.
Right. You know, just you saying that makes me convinced that going for the simpler language is better, is
Yeah,
given the
even
audience in
Chinese,
mind, right?
Chinese, they have two. They have like they have simplified Chinese also. If you
Yeah,
go to the
yeah.
Chinese language,
Good
you'll
point.
find that something. If you go to somewhere
Hello?
disconnected. In Chinese, you will find some Chinese, some websites it says simplify Chinese,
Hmm.
which is like the same Chinese but it's simplified.
Right.
Use like very simple words and expressions.
I think the right thing to do moving forward from this comment is a very important comment is to bring it up
Yes,
in the
we
next
can we
meeting.
can we can discuss it later, but that's something you will face when you translate a long text like I did yesterday on
Mm-hmm.
the weekend. On the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
when I did it on more than four sentences, I understand the important to discuss this point. So I brought it here.
Right, right. On the specific pull request that I was talking about, the we I mean we can part support when I talk about what I propose is I'll go away and try to do some research and see what other people online have done in terms of standards around this.
Okay.
Again, if there's a like a language مجمع في مصر أو في الشام, if they have like a guide, right, on how to write Arabic for the internet, I'll try to find it and we can bring this up in the next meeting, hopefully when more people are
I
here
know
to
that
share their thoughts.
University of Damascus in Syria, they give
Okay.
lessons in Arabic and they have lots of online resources which are available to public. You can see the language is also very yeah, I think that's thing I want to
Gotcha. All right, cool. So we're at time.
yes,
Safe, do
exactly.
you yeah, I mean this is perfect. I mean we can just continue doing PRs asynchronously unless there's something you wanted to talk about, like a specific piece of feedback you wanted to talk
Yes.
about. Would you like to share your screen?
For me, Ali, sorry, can you repeat?
So would pieces of feedback in PRs, or are you good for today?
I think we're good for today. What do you think? Other
Okay.
than that, will take a bit too long.
Yeah.
And I
This
think we can
we can just
continue
keep it
offline.
asynchronous.
Yeah, we
Mm-hmm,
can
mm-hmm,
continue offline. But from my side, um, except from this PR, which is it should be. I think this should be merged. No, no discussion regarding this one. Everyone said it's
this one
okay.
here. Okay.
Uh,
Mm-hmm,
but the latest one, there is no need because it's the work is in progress. For the one that you
mm-hmm,
made, gave me uh, feedback yesterday. So I want to make it as good as your expectations to avoid any kind of uh, misuse of any Arabic expression. It should be kind of humanized
mm-hmm,
rather than being machine.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
it should be done by day today or maybe tomorrow morning, and then we can have a second feedback from you. I think you'll find it good, and we can have a second feedback, and then we can move on. Because also, I started another one, but I stopped.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
To finish your reviews, your feedback, because I prefer rather than moving a lot forward. I rather clean up what we have already.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No,
that's all I
that
got.
yeah, no, that sounds good, man. I appreciate it. And what I'm gonna do in the meantime is go review that other pull request that you have open, so that
Great, thanks.
there are things in all stages of the pipeline. Let's put it that way.
Yes, we need to merge them. Yes, that's our
Yeah.
priority, I think. P1.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. I think
All
we
right,
can
thank you
call
for
it a
your
meeting.
time. Thanks for the effort, Ali.
Abby, you
Habibi.
got it, man. I'm glad to be here. And Abby, thanks to be here. Habibi. What we are going to do is, it seems like perhaps when Natalie gets a chance, we need to get a hold of the host keys. I'll just
Yeah,
follow up with that on that asynchronously with you, Abby.
okay. Okay, you can do it. Then. This document, Ali, just 1 second. This document should
Yes.
you will
Oh,
share it on the Slack so everyone have the what the history.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is on in our Slack channel.
Perfect,
It's in the pinned
perfect, perfect.
yeah, it's
And
called
the
meeting agenda slash
registration,
minutes.
so if everyone, so anyone who wants to watch it, he can watch it, or she, or anyone uh,
Yeah,
can
let
watch.
me grab a link to the recording page and I'll put it here as well.
Yes.
I'll
So
pin it
that
in the channel as well.
next time we don't have to go through the same points.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, folks.
Okay, thank you, Ali, again.
I hope you thank you, and I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, you too. End of the day, and next time.
Yes. All right. Take care, man. Take care, Abby. Bye-bye.